Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Producer Mark's Chit Show. We have here with us in our studio in Chicago, Miss Laura Orimus, the designated managing broker, Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group, Homer Glen and Lockport offices, broker, realtor for 20 years this year, and managing broker last 15 years. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for having me.
It is so good to have you here with us. I have some questions that I wanted to ask you, if it's all right with you. My first question is, what is a managing broker, and what do you do? What does the real estate group after your Coldwell Banker name mean?
Okay. I'll start with the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. So every franchise, so Coldwell Banker, Remax, Century 21, there's always a name afterwards. So we're Real Estate Group, Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. There's other Coldwell Bankers in the area, but we are the largest in the, first it was the largest in the Midwest, so we are very proud of that. Now we're the largest in the United States. So I'm one of 62 managers. Our offices are in Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and where's the other one? Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin, of course. How can I forget Wisconsin? We have a huge Green Bay office. Huge.
There you go. Very nice. So do you also sell homes?
Of course. I not only am managing broker, what I do is I oversee all the agents in my office. So I have 60 some agents that I make sure all their paperwork is turned in, all the contracts are filled out properly, legally, because we have to follow a lot of rules and, national and state laws for real estate. And we have a code of ethics. So my job is to make sure that all my agents stay within those guidelines. And I make sure, again, their contracts look good, everything that's good. I sign off on everything. Every one of my agents in my offices, they actually work under my license number. So if I don't have them trained properly and they get into trouble, then I'm in trouble. I go before the IDF.
We don't want you getting in trouble.
No, I'll be before the IDFPR with them. So that's why they'll have to be trained properly.
Right.
So that's my job. I work at one of the offices every day, and then I also sell real estate. So I sell single family homes. I do a lot of commercial. I do people upgrading, downsizing, residential and commercial. And there's also like investment properties. I deal with a lot of investors also.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about buyers today. Let's go over a timeline of how does the buyer actually buy a house. Also, what exactly happened on August 17, 2024?
That's the date that every realtor knows. So
that changed the whole ball game.
Yeah. So what happened, there was a national lawsuit that was brought against the Association of Realtors. And when we settled, not me personally, but when, the realtors, the Association of Realtors settled, we have now a buyer's agreement. So every single time that a person wants to go look for a property, when you call a realtor now, they should always ask you if you're working with a realtor and if you've signed any other buyer's agreements. Before we are able to walk into a house with you, you have to have a buyer's agreement signed. And what it states is that you are working with that agent, they are representing you, and then you will be paying that agent. Now, we do have an 8.0 contract, we call it. When we write a contract for you, there's a spot where I can write in that compensation for my brokerage, for myself and my brokerage. But if that seller's not willing to pay it, that buyer's agreement says that that buyer will in fact pay you. And nothing is, things really haven't changed all that much. It's just that now it's all transparent. It's all on the table that we have to have that buyer's agreement signed. And again, there's a lot of times that someone will call and say they want to see a house, and you'll say, that you need to have this buyer's agreement signed. And they'll say, oh, my other, realtors I've looked at houses with before, they never asked me to do that. Well, those realtors are not abiding by what we are all supposed to be doing across the whole United States. It's not just our area or Illinois, it's the entire United States. So before you walk into a door with a realtor, you should be signing it's called a 338. It's a buyer's agreement. So that's the biggest thing that you're going to do from now on because of this lawsuit. It's something that we all have to do. And I think if an agent explains it to their buyers the proper way, that when I do write that contract, we are going to be writing it in to the purchase price. So if I'm writing an offer for $500,000 for our property that's listed for $500,000, offers 500, and I'm going to be writing in, let's say, it's all negotiable, but let's say 2.5% or 3%, whatever you have on your buyer's agreement, that's going to be part of that purchase price. So 500,000 is including whatever compensation that I put on my buyer's agreement. Again, it's all negotiable. All parts of a contract are negotiable, including the compensation.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's a lot of valuable information that I think our listeners and our viewers will definitely benefit from. Could you walk me through the first steps when you're working with a new buyer?
Sure. The very first thing is getting my buyer's agreement signed, of course. So once we take care of that, then we make sure you have a pre-approval if you're going to be financing a house, or proof of funds if you're going to be paying cash. Sometimes people get offended when you want their proof of funds, but you can never write a contract without a proof of funds or a pre-approval. So your pre-approval is going to explain what kind of house that person could purchase. Are they buying FHA, conventional, VA? Are they a veteran that has those benefits? If you are a veteran, you should 100% be taking your benefits. You served our country, you deserve them. It's 100% no money down. You should definitely be taking that benefit. So your pre-approval is going to show you that, of what kind of house you should buy, or you can qualify to buy, I should say. And then it's also going to show what your loan amount is, how much you can definitely finance, and what that interest rate is. So interest rates are, they're not rising anymore, but they're not falling the way people would love them to be falling, like they were, 3 years ago.
Right.
But they're pretty steady. So everything is going to be on their pre-approval, and that's what I need, because if you can only buy I shouldn't say that, if you're qualified for an FHA house, or a loan, I should say, an FHA loan, I have to make sure the houses that I'm showing you are going to be able to be FHA approved. Not all houses are.
Right.
So that's what we have to make sure.
Okay. Another question we have here. So what happens after you write the contract and get it signed by your buyers?
You're way, way ahead. So we didn't even start looking at houses yet. So once we get your pre-approval, you have your buyer's agreement signed, and then your pre-approval, then I'll set you up on an MLS search, which is a multiple listing. That's what all realtors use to put properties on. Now you could find, properties on Zillow and Redfin and websites like that, but all of those sites feed from the MLS. When an agent gets a listing, we put it on the MLS. Once we put it on the MLS, then it feeds to all those other sites. So you should always be working with the realtor, because we have the minute it gets put on the MLS, that's when we can get our buyers sent right to their email, so they know what's new on the market.
Right.
So once we have every house, once we have your pre-approval, we know what you're qualified to buy. Then you're going to give me your specifics of what kind of house you want. Do you want a ranch, a 2-story, a townhouse? What are you looking for? How many bedrooms, bathrooms, how many car garage, any particulars that you want for your house. Once I get that search set up for you, from there, you'll be getting those regularly. Right when they hit the market, you're going to be getting those. You're going to click what you're interested or maybe want to see. And then that's when the fun starts. So that's when we start house hunting. So you let me know what day and time you want to go out. I set all the appointments, whether it's to look at one house or if there's 10 houses you want to look at. We'll get everything set and we'll start looking. That's when the next question happens. You find that house, that perfect house, you walk in. And because I've been in business a long time, and I could show someone one house and they could walk in and be like, oh my gosh, this house, they could
It's
feel
the most
it.
beautiful house that there is.
The minute they walk in, they usually know.
Right.
I've seen it happen so many times. And unfortunately, sometimes it happens on the first house. And then they think, well, maybe there's more and maybe there's more.
Yeah.
So we keep looking, but they keep comparing it to that first house.
How many, and I'm not trying to cut you off here, but
Not at all.
just a quick question. How many, is there a limit to how many homes you can show a person?
Well, I'm sure every agent has their own limit, but no, you work with that client until they find that house.
Right.
You know, it's sometimes, like I said, it's the first house, or sometimes it's like the 60th house. Unfortunately,
60th house.
I mean,
Wow.
there's some horror stories from agents that, you know, we go out because we don't get paid,
Right.
obviously, until closing day. We have
Yeah.
to do a lot of stops before
Yeah.
we get to that.
Because
Well, the
a
closing
lot of people
table.
think that, oh, it's very easy to become a real estate person and you make buco money.
Mm.
But what you don't understand is the amount of work that you have to put in, the amount, the gasoline that you have to burn,
Oh, yeah.
the places that you have to travel
Mhm.
to close the deal, and then to appease the client to make sure that he or she is happy.
And you make sure that there's no bumps along the road. And if
Yeah.
there are, you smooth them out the
Right, right.
quickest you can. So
Oh, my
there's a
God.
lot of behind the scenes work that a realtor does that people don't know.
People
You
don't.
see the TV
Yeah.
shows, a realtor opens up the door,
Right.
three doors,
Right.
and which one do you want at
Right,
the end of it?
exactly.
That's not
Yeah,
realistic.
that's not reality. That's fakeology. Oh.
That truly is. It's you know, again, when they find the house there, they always have that same feeling though. And
Right.
if it's the first house or the 15th house, it's
Right.
always the same thing. But I don't like when it's the first one, like I said, because they want to look at more and compare it to that one. And by the time they realize it, 10 houses in, you know, it's been a week and a half, that house is under contract. So now we have to start from scratch and we have to start completely over and try to find the house that they love again. So
Something funny here. Has anybody ever asked you, hey, Laura, I need you to find me a house that is 2 bedrooms with a 20-car garage?
Well, I am in the car community.
Right.
So I'm working with someone right now, an older couple, and right now he's on an airplane hangar.
Right, right.
And he wants something that big. And I said, it's just not going to happen.
Is that the one we interviewed? The gentleman that we interviewed for one of our shows?
No, we did not do but he's a really
Yeah.
interesting guy, and he's a racer. He's not like a car show guy. He's a racer.
I wanted to I'm going, not I wanted to, but I am going to introduce you to a very dear friend of ours. He's a real friend of ours, great guy. And he lives a little bit up north, so we may have to hike over there.
Mhm.
He lives on the outskirts of Schaumburg.
That's not far.
It's not. Well, for me, it is. Okay?
Realtors go everywhere.
Yeah, well, yeah. For me,
State of Illinois.
Yeah, for me, it is. So when his house, when I went there the first time, I'm like, nah, this can't be his house, because he's a very well off person. He's got an exactly 3-bedroom ranch.
Mhm.
So it's 3-bedroom ranch with a studio, kitchen, and living room, and a 27-car garage.
I think I just saw a meme like that on Facebook, actually.
Yeah.
So
I actually thought it was a joke. And he invited us over and we did some filming, but unfortunately he had some cars, some very, very high-end collectible cars that he didn't really want to show the people. So he said, Mark, can we just do this at another time? I said, yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll bring Laura over and we can do a proper show, and then you can put a blankie over those cars. Oh my God. All right. So coming back, we went segue.
Back to real estate. Back to real estate.
So, okay. So what is the next step with you finally getting under contract?
Okay. We find the house. We find the perfect house.
The 60th house.
Then hopefully it's like the 7th house. That would be great.
House.
Yeah.
All right.
So we find the perfect house. We write a contract. So we use electronic forms for all that, or your agent may sit with you and handwrite it too. But we write the contract. We explain there's 13 pages on our contract. It's called the 8.0 contract. We talk about the big points of the contract are, of course, purchase price, closing date, what kind of financing, which we know from your pre-approval, tax proration. We do usually 105 in the suburbs and 110 tax proration in the city of Chicago. We talk about, is it going to be as is? Is it going to be, this is new on our contract. We have as is as we've always had, but now it's an inspection with request or inspection with no request. So these are all different points of the contract. And then, so the buyer initials everything, signs everything, and then I take that. Oh, I'm sorry. And then there's disclosures. There's Illinois property disclosure, There is radon disclosure. And then if it's built before 78, there is the lead-based paint disclosure.
Mm.
So those have to be filled out too. And on the Illinois property disclosure, there's probably, I'm going to guess, 23 different questions. Is there any, reoccurring flooding? Is it, walls and door problems? It's the craziest one is at the very end is the house ever been used for methamphetamines? And, when you're a listing agent, and I swear that's a question on there, and that someone had to be sued somewhere along the line for that to
Right.
make it to our Illinois property
Have you ever
disclosure.
come across something like that?
No, I've come across other houses like big growing rooms, like weed
Yeah.
rooms and stuff like
Right.
that.
Oh, I can't live in a house like that.
A weed room?
Yeah.
Well,
No.
I think for the meth, the problem is that it gets into the drywall, and I
Right.
think if you lick it, it's still there.
You lick the drywall.
Don't lick the drywall.
Wow.
Don't lick the drywall.
I can assure our viewers that I don't think anybody has ever done a podcast like this. Okay. Very
Okay.
important.
We're under contract. Sorry,
We're
are we
under
gonna ask? Are we
no.
still okay?
Yeah,
we're
we
under,
are. We're
so we take our contract. We're not under contract yet. We write the contract.
We
It's
write the
actually an offer is what we're
Okay.
doing. So we have our offer, we have the pre-approval, and we have the disclosures. I send that over to. I talk with my hands. I'm sorry. I'll
That's
try to
all
keep
right.
my hands still.
You're the boss.
We send that over to the listing agent.
Mhm.
Okay. And that listing agent then presents it to her sellers. And part of that contract, don't forget, we did write the compensation so that they're going to be paying the broker. So this offer is $500,000. I'm just there is no set compensation. It's whatever that agent's working for. I'm just going to use 2.5% just because it's a number that I'm going to use. So $500,000 with a 2.5% commission or compensation on there to the brokerage. And everything else is filled out. We send it over. She presents it or he presents it to his sellers, and the sellers have a couple of options. They can accept our offer, which we always love, right?
Mhm.
Or they can counter our offer. And if they counter our offer, we'll come to that in a minute, or they could reject our offer. So sometimes a house is listed for, let's say, $750,000. We have a buyer that's unaware of the market, even though I show them comps, and they, instead of 750, they want their offer to be at 600,000, 150 under. Good chance that seller's going to reject our offer.
Yeah.
So once it's rejected, then it's dead. If they in fact give us a counter offer, what we do at that point is I go back to my buyers and I say, okay, I'm just using 500,000. They want 525, or let's say 515. And my buyers we talk about it, show them the comps again. We figure out what we want to do. And then we then submit another offer. What I was going to say is when our first offer is dead, the minute we get a counter offer, then that offer is what's
It's gone.
happening.
And you can never go back to
You
that
can never
first
go back to the first one.
Wow.
Once you get a counter, then that's what's active on the table.
Right. So people got to be careful when they it's not a joke.
It's not a joke. You're writing, this is a legally binding contract, what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And you never want those buyers that while you're negotiating or when you get under contract, they want to go look at other houses. They weren't serious. Those are not the buyers you want.
Yeah.
You have to make sure when you write that offer, this is the house that you literally want, period. This is your dream house. This is it.
That's it. Yeah. Can the seller change his mind and say, crap, I don't want to sell it to this guy?
Well, that would be discriminatory depending on what reason, if you don't want to sell it to that person.
I'm just asking because
so we have a lot of fair housing laws, definitely, that we all abide by. I will say that in the first 5 days, so once it goes back and forth and we decide on a price and everyone agrees to it, the sellers, the buyers will initial the changes, the sellers initiate the contract or initial a whole contract. And then the sellers will sign it and they will date it. That is the date of the contract, whatever date. It could go on for a week or for 1 day, but that's the day that the contract starts. Okay. The first 5 days of a contract, the very first 5 days of contract, buyer or seller can get out of contract for any reason besides price. So there are attorneys we have buyers attorneys and sellers attorneys that we're dealing with at this point, and they could cancel the contract at any time in the first 5 days from the date.
The buyer can.
Or the seller. Either one. We hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
But occasionally it does happen.
But when you're doing a deal and it's the first 5 days, your heart is pounding like, oh God.
Especially when it's that dream house that can't be replaced. Right. Is the land or the building or 20 car garage, whatever it is
Yeah.
that you can't just
27.
duplicate it. 27.
27 car garage. Yeah.
27 is my favorite number, actually.
27
Mhm.
car garage, and he has. Why are we going back to that guy? He has lifts, right?
Mhm.
So in 5 of the parking spaces, he has 3 post lifts. So he has 15 cars in those 3 spots. So 3 each. Yeah.
Does he have any, I mean, a certain type of car he wants, or does he just have a little bit of everything?
He has everything from Ford Model A's, Model T's to hot rods to Corvettes to he has Lamborghini Diablo,
Wow.
something like your family.
Yeah.
Something not as big as that, but
Oh.
it's pretty impressive.
Belleville,
pretty impressive,
Illinois.
yeah.
It's a great collection.
Yeah. He's not all there. He's 6 pack short of a 12-pack.
Well, we don't want him to hear this. You saying that?
Yeah, it's a very, very, very dear friend of mine.
Okay.
Very dear friend of mine. Okay, coming back to real estate for the second time.
Okay.
Home inspection period. What is that exactly? Who does what and who pays for it?
Oh my goodness. Okay. The buyers always pay for the home inspection.
Mhm.
And then we talked about on the contract, are they buying it with inspection with request or inspection no request? Okay. Inspection no request is something new that just started when the 8.0 contract came out. So that one is you could do an inspection and it's for the buyer's benefit. They could go through the house, with a qualified licensed home inspector. They have to be licensed in order to ask for any request.
Right.
So if it's with no request, they go through it. They make sure they want the house, period. If it's with requests, their home inspector goes through the house the same way. There's a big report that's written up. And then usually the attorney will negotiate for anything that we need, but say that the buyer found out there's a correct heat exchanger. That's a common one, or double tap electric, very, very common. They can ask, that buyer's attorney can ask for a credit or for those items to be repaired. And in this market, because we don't have a lot of inventory and it is hard to get under contract, I always warn my buyers when we ask for anything, and this is a big one, when we ask for any credits or anything to be repaired, the minute that we do that, that seller can cancel our contract. They may have a backup offer waiting for more money, but they couldn't cancel us for because you can't do it for price.
Right.
So they can have a backup offer just waiting.
Do they have to give you? I'm not trying to cut you off here, but do they have to give you a reason why they're doing it?
We ask for say that my buyer asked for a $5,000 credit for these items, and there's a list of items.
Yeah.
That seller can say no, rejected, accept the other offer.
That's it. As fast as
because we asked for something.
So your heart is pounding on that thing too.
Yeah, real estate is a roller coaster. I'm telling you, and that's why we try to keep our buyers and our sellers both calm.
Yeah.
But when you're an agent, it's like it's crazy town. I'm telling you, it really is
something like I go through in sales. I mean, it's not a joke. People think, oh yeah, Mark, you just go there and get. No, it's not. You have to work your butt off.
You do. We're not even done with appraisal yet.
Jeez.
We just are in the home inspection.
Right.
So let's say that we asked for a $2,500 repair credit. Okay. And the seller said, you know what, we'll give you $1,000. We understand that these are problems. We'll give you $1,000. Let's just say we have a good deal here and there's no backup offers waiting to kill us. So now we are getting a $1,500 or $1,000. We agree to $1,000 closing cost credit. Great. We're done with home inspection period. So the first 5 days of a contract, remember I told you when the seller signs the contract, that's the first day. So the first 5 days is home inspection period, and it's also attorney review period. Those two run in the same 5 days. Okay. So now we're done with home inspection. The attorneys do their, attorney letters. They open it up for each other. They leave that open, and that's fine. So great. Now we're under contract. We're through home inspection. Life is good, right? No. Now we have to go through appraisal. So the loan officer, I, as the buyer's agent, the minute we get under contract, I send the contract over to the loan officer. And usually we love when it's a loan officer that we use. I use a couple of loan officers, 2 different companies. They have different products. So those loan officers and the attorney and myself, we are a team and we are working for that buyer. That buyer is the boss. We are the team that's working for him. When we know each other, it just makes the deal go so much smoother. It truly does. So that loan officer at this point has been doing every loan officer paperwork that they need to do.
Right.
And that buyer has been providing all the information the whole time that the loan officer needs. The quicker the buyer gets it to the loan officer, the quicker the deal will hopefully close and will stay on contract.
Right.
So that loan officer then will order an appraisal. So usually we're about 10 days into a contract at this point, and then the appraiser calls the listing agent, sets up a day and time, and that listing agent should, if they're a good agent, they should meet that appraiser out at the house, show them a contract, give them a nice little packet of all their comps and everything else that they have, not to sway them, but just sometimes they're not from the area, they don't know the school districts, etc. Give them a copy of the survey if they have it. Anything like that is what a listing agent should do at an appraisal. So then about 4 days later, the appraisal hopefully comes back at contract price. So I think we said that this house was 500,000.
Right.
We want that appraisal to come back at 500. The days of them coming back at like 550 and 575 and
Those are
way
gone.
over, those are gone. Those have been gone for many, many years.
Yeah.
If we come out at contract price, that's what we're looking for.
How is the real estate market right now?
It is good. I mean, there's not a ton of inventory. There's a little more inventory than there was, but it's still a seller's market. It truly is. I would say in the last month, it's slowed down a little bit. The lower price homes are still selling pretty quickly. The mid-range homes have slowed down a little bit. And the upper price, we have a lot of cash buyers for those, it seems like, and those are moving, but they're not flying off the shelves like they were. We sometimes we'll list something for $325,000 and we'll get 5 offers in a weekend. And, that's then it's
Right.
highest and best and all that kind of stuff for our buyers, which are never fun, but
Yeah.
we have those. I mean, interest rates are pretty steady. People, I think, are used to them not being at 3% anymore. So I think
Right.
we're better for that, at least. People are, assuming that they're going to be staying here for a little bit. Although I heard there might be 3 cuts this year. I heard 4 cuts and I heard 3. So, but they're not going to go down to 3%. So don't hold out for 3%. It's not going to happen. Buy a house now. You could refinance.
There we go. Hopefully
Yeah.
something good will come out of this. Okay, now that the inspection is over, are we buying the house now?
Nope.
When do we get the keys and when do we move in, Mom?
Not
when
yet.
do we move in?
Not yet. So the house, let's say the house appraised at contract price. That's a great deal. That's what we need. And then the loan officer is just doing their work behind the scenes now. They're working with the buyers with everything that they need to do and get it through underwriting. Let's say that the house, we wrote it for 500,000, but it appraised at 490. What happens then? So the seller can either lower the price to 490 and then the buyers are happy. Or sometimes, depending on the property, the buyer may say, you know what, I'll bring 5 extra thousand if you lower it 5,000. So we've had those happen too. And those are usually on the one-off properties, the lake properties, or something that's not in a subdivision where it's cookie cutter, where you could find it again. Those hard to find properties, I have seen that happen. I always tell my buyers though, why do you want to buy a property that doesn't appraise at how much you're paying for it? That just makes it a little bit harder. It leaves a bad taste in their mouth sometimes. So
Location plays a big part.
oh, definitely. I mean, I live in the woods. I would have a hard time finding another property just like mine.
Yeah.
I truly would. I mean, I'm happy. I have a park district near me and, it's nice to be kind of far away neighbors. So those are harder to find.
Yeah. I see. I can't do that. I got to have my neighbor right next to me.
Really?
Yeah. I got to have him right there, right next to me.
So that's what makes the world go round. Everyone needs something a
everybody
little bit
needs
different.
Their own thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or I can have a 3-bedroom house with a 27-car garage
That's right.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we're there. We're almost there. I
Yes.
promise. So
Okay.
we're through appraisal now, right? So we're so close now. This is good. So this is the words that every realtor is waiting to hear. Do you know what that is?
Tell us.
Clear to close.
Oh,
Clear
wow.
to close.
Clear to
Oh,
close.
that's a happy day for a realtor.
So do champagne bottles pop?
Almost, but clear to
Okay.
close is the beginning of that.
All
So
right, very good.
the lender takes that file and it goes in and out of underwriting. They keep asking the buyer for this or that. Once it comes out of underwriting and it's clear to close, oh, that's such a great day. So you see how much we've gone through here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
now
Oh my
that-
God. We
that-
haven't still even moved in.
No, I'm done before that. So
Yeah.
so then the lender will let the attorney know, hey, we're clear to close. We're all so happy. We let the buyer know. Everyone's so happy. And then the attorneys set the closing day and time and location.
Right.
Okay. So they'll check with the seller. It's the seller's attorney that really gets to pick the title company because that's who they have, affiliations with. So say it's Chicago Title or Home Title Group. Shout out to Home Title Group in Lockport. That's our
Hey,
company's
Home
title
Title
company.
Group.
Yeah. So hopefully it's at Home Title Group and they'll say it's Tuesday at 4 or 3 o'clock. So now the buyer's agent on Tuesday at 2 o'clock will set up a final walkthrough.
Okay.
So then I take the buyers to a final walkthrough. We go through the property and hopefully it's beautiful and empty and everything is great.
Right.
Hopefully. That doesn't always happen.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
Sometimes you walk into a nightmare.
Yeah.
Holes in the walls.
So that even after all that, you can find holes in the walls and all that.
So what happens is people
What the heck?
People will take their TV stands and the mounts and that.
Yeah.
They'll take those and leave giant gaping holes or say they didn't put it up right
Oh
and
my
there's
God.
5 extra holes.
So what happens when you do that?
Yeah, people leave. I'll come back to that. So people leave
God.
piles of garbage outside.
Right.
Like furniture and just out by the garage, who's going to take that to the garbage, and when you're moving on a Monday and
Yeah.
garbage day is Friday. So those are all things that we have to talk to the attorneys about. We've had sheds full of things. We've had just filthy houses. I'm telling you about the bad experiences.
Wow.
We've had a tree fall down in the backyard. I've had about 4 inches of water in the basement.
Oh my God.
The worst one, and unfortunately, it was for my daughter. My daughter, Allie. The seller of her house, it's not a nice story, but he took a semi through the backyard.
Oh,
So it's got some property, but it's on a well and septic. He took a semi through the backyard to move him and his friends, and then got stuck. And they had to have a tow truck come to her backyard. This is before she owned it, and pull him out. So you can imagine the damage.
The gouges and oh my God.
Thank God it was my daughter. I probably would have lost a client.
And she is just the sweetest person. She probably said, "Oh, that's all right."
Well, no, because there's the septic under there, and there's some septic damage. And
you're kidding me.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know it wasn't.
So what happened?
So we're still, I don't want to talk anymore about that one because we're still dealing with the attorneys on that.
Oh, no, we're not talking about it.
Not going to talk about it.
What you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's just say that we have a nice final walkthrough like they normally are. I mean, 95% of the time they're wonderful, and then we go to closing. If they're bad, what I do and what I teach my agents to do is take pictures immediately on your phone. And hopefully you have that good relationship with the attorney like we talked about. And I text them right to the attorney and say, hey, we got some problems. There's been a lot of problems where people take drapery. And not only do they take that, it's whatever's on the contract. Whatever is on that contract, they have to leave. So they take the drapes. Not only do they take the drapery rods. So that's a problem because now there's holes where those were, and that's expensive to replace.
My God. Well, people can be, I can't believe they can be that low down.
Oh, people have taken a lot of things. So whatever's on the contract, there's a whole section of what is expected to be left.
Jeez.
I had one person that took their really nice stainless steel refrigerator out of the kitchen, brought up the junky one from the basement and stuck it in there. And scratch the whole floor, gouge the floor too.
Oh my God!
Bringing it in there,
and thought he could get away with it.
Yeah, left like the water line hanging out, like we wouldn't notice. It's like,
man.
Yeah, people do some things. Part of my meeting, I do my meetings every month with my offices. I always do a little section of like an agent, like what has been brought to me over the month. Like problems, because I think people can learn from other people's situations. So I always bring the agent situation of the month. And there's been some doozies. There has really been some doozies that people have done. And we just hopefully all can learn from them.
Amazing how this can still go on. This is crazy.
So the attorney then will ask for a credit, or they'll ask for money to be held back. When there's garbage and things like that, I've had them say, okay, we're going to hold 5,000 of that seller's money. He has until tomorrow at 5 o'clock to get all that out of there. Things like that will happen, but that's what the attorneys do at the closing.
Okay.
And ever since COVID now too, we really, at the closing, it used to be buyers and sellers and both of the attorneys and
Right.
the agents, and we'd all sit around a table.
Right.
It doesn't happen anymore. Usually it's your buyer's attorney,
Yeah.
myself and my buyers. That's who's there. And then the closer from the title company. We really don't see the other side anymore.
Right.
So
This is amazing.
COVID has changed a lot.
COVID. Yeah. Amazing.
Mhm.
Amazing.
And then we close.
Then we close, we party, and
Your buyers will then go to the closing. I go to the closing with them and they sign a stack of papers. They bring their ID. I always tell everyone the same thing. Bring your ID. You have to have an ID.
right.
And you'll have your a certified check for how much your attorney told you should bring. You usually bring a little bit over, and the title company will then cut you the balance back. But you bring your check, you bring your ID, you go to the closing, to the title company, to Home Title Group, and you sign and sign and sign. In Lockport. They travel all over though, but
they travel all over. Okay.
And then they sign in blue pen with your attorney, and your attorney will explain everything that's important to you or important on the documents. The thing is that sometimes, very rarely, but people won't want to sign something that they well, I don't want to sign that. Well, then you're not getting the house. It's that simple. You need to sign every single paper there. It goes to the closer. They send it to the other underwriter. They make sure everything is proper. The check comes over, and once that check is there, you get the keys, and you're finally now you can party. Yeah.
All right. So I got a question. How long has this taken already?
Normal closings are between 30 and 45 days. And it's whatever you write.
Have patience.
Yeah, well, you have to.
I don't have patience.
It's whatever you write on that contract. So when we talk about the different terms of the contract, different parts, price is one, closing date is one.
Mhm.
And in today's market, we might ask that other agent, the listing agent, hey, how long do your people need? Maybe your people need 60 days. Maybe they need 30 days. So you can make your contract a little more, sweet for them if you do what that seller wants.
Right.
So yeah, 30 to 45 days is a pretty typical closing.
What do you like about the real estate business?
I like working with people. I truly do. I like looking at houses. And that's, I've seen thousands and thousands of houses now, of course. But I've met so many different kind of people, and it's very exciting when you have that person that has worked, they're a young couple. They're the first, I just had people like this in Joliet, is the first people in their family to ever purchase a home. This young couple, they were, probably in like maybe 32, 33 years old. No one in their house has ever owned, or their families ever owned a house. They always have been renters their whole life. And it was such a big joy to them and their whole family. Something like that. Or sometimes people I've known for a long time that have that big house, and their kids are all grown and now they want to no yard work and they want to get that townhouse. Those are nice people to work with. Investors, I have a few investors that I work with all the time, and to watch their business grow and their portfolio grow. Very nice.
What is the best part of the business that you like and the least?
Probably the best is working with the people. I mean, most of the people I work with are referrals from my past clients and, people that I know, family, friends, and, they refer me to people that they want, that need to buy a house, that they know they work with me and they enjoy how I work. Probably the best compliment I have is an older couple that I sold 2 houses for. They said that their friend was going to be moving into the area. She was an older woman, and she goes, "You know what, Laura?" She goes, we're referring you because you treated us like your family, like your parents." And that's true. That's how I feel. So I thought that was really nice. But the best part, I think, is working with the people. I really do. As far as buying houses, I'm sorry, as far as selling houses, but I also like working with my agents, being a managing broker. When they get their first listing, it's so exciting to me because I know how that feels to get a listing. And when it's your first listing, so I love watching my new agents turn into, experienced agent. So that part is nice too. I'm talking about just buying and selling, but I have that managing broker part too. So I kind of have 2 jobs. So, my least favorite. I think my least favorite is when a deal goes awry
Yeah.
and my buyer or my seller doesn't get the deal for reasons that are out of our control.
And you know, it would be so stupid that it could be for the most m- minuscule or
Yep.
the stupidest reason,
Yeah.
you know?
I had a deal a long time ago that it was in the summer. And the reason why I know that is because my client was a teacher.
Mhm.
And the day before closing, usually 2 days or the day before closing, they always have to verify employment.
Mhm.
And no one was answering at the school.
Oh, no.
It was a summer, no one was answering.
Right.
And it was crazy because the closing got pushed like a week.
Right.
And the seller was getting aggravated and they were going to cancel the deal because they couldn't. We finally got a hold of a superintendent, like a cell phone, that way that the loan officer that they could verify there. So deals like that, like you can't control stuff
Yeah.
like that, you know? So I don't like some of the aspects that we can't control. But there's so many good parts to it that, you know, hopefully they weigh out.
You know, the producer Mark's chit show would not be a chit show if he wouldn't ask you some crazy questions. I have some written down here.
Okay.
Craziest or most frightening thing that has happened to you while showing houses, and any dangerous things ever. And hold on,
Oh, my
I'm just going to add
goodness.
one because I want you to go in detail
Okay.
and just let it out. Any haunted houses or supernatural things that you have seen or felt in the house? Any aliens, extraterrestrials, any UFOs?
Which one should I start with? Dangerous or
All
crazy?
of them.
Okay.
All of them.
So probably the most dangerous thing that's happened to me, there's been a couple, but one in particular, it was during the days of foreclosures, when foreclosures were newer. So we're going back, 15 years, 10, 15 years. That was when a bank foreclosed on a property. Everything that the owner had stayed in the house, all the damage, anything, they weren't fixing them up at that point like they do now. Now they'll put, paint, carpet, clean it out, make it beautiful, new appliances. This was before that. The houses were rough. They were full of everything that the people just left behind.
Yeah.
And I was a couple, and we went in. It was in Romeoville. I remember it perfectly. I was an agent then. I was not a managing broker. And I met my clients at the house. I was there first. I unlocked the house, and they came right behind me. But sometimes back then, I would unlock the house, and I would go in the house, and I would turn the lights on and be like, "Oh, how nice!" I was a newer agent at that point.
Oh, I can't do that.
No. Well,
can't.
this is when I learned this. So, and it was a raised ranch. So when you walk in the house, you either go upstairs or downstairs, right? So
Yeah.
if you go upstairs, you have the kitchen, some bedrooms, bathroom, family room. A living room is upstairs. So we went upstairs first. The husband went downstairs, which is the attached garage, and then there was like a family room, a laundry room, and a bathroom. So that's and like a family room over on this
because
side.
he wants to scope out his man cave.
He went to downstairs.
Yeah.
We went up, and it was a foreclosure, and it was full of clothes and just
Oh, my
personal
God.
lighting. It was just dirty and gross. And so the wife and I were upstairs, and we looked at everything, and then we went downstairs. And when we went downstairs, we went to the right, and there was the family room, but they had it set up like a bedroom. So there was a bed with piles and piles of clothes on it. And there were the dresser was still there with clothes everywhere. And there was a bathroom right over there. And she said to me, she goes, "Does it look like there's blood? Like on the sink?" There was like red on the sink.
You got to be kidding me.
And I'm like, I don't know. It could be nail polish. It could be
Yeah,
blood.
yeah.
It was just weird,
Could be ketchup.
Yeah. And it could be anything in that house. And so we're walking around like where the bed was. And she goes, "Look," she goes, "it looks like there's someone under the clothes."
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
No.
Oh,
so
I would have died right
you could
there.
see like two outlines of legs kind of, but it was piled with clothes. This bed had piles of clothes on it. And you could kind of see an outline. And I said, "Look," I said, "there on the dresser, there was a photo still. There was like a couple, and he was like a thinner man was in the picture." And I said, I wonder, could it be? She goes, no. I said, what if he's dead? What
Oh,
if someone's dead in here?
Oh my
And then
God.
being a newer agent back then, again, I'd be like, oh, I have to call the police. I would be like all crazy. So there was a work boot on the ground, and I said, I'm gonna toss this under the bed. I said, and if it goes down, if it sinks down, we know that we're crazy and it says close. But if it doesn't, then we have a problem.
Right.
So I went 1, 2, and then a man jumped out and he was screaming, get them out of my house. Oh, he had like a white Dago tee on and he was a small Hispanic man.
Yeah.
We were screaming. We were running. The husband's on the other side of the house.
Oh my God.
We ran up those stairs and out the front. He chased us all the way out the front and was screaming to get the F out of his house. And, it was the most frightening thing that ever happened to me. It was my heart. Even the lockbox was laying there. I mean, it was great. We were out in the front yard, like we were out parked in the front, and he was screaming at us. We got out of there, and of course, I called the listing agent and I called the police also. And it was the owner of the house that was foreclosed on. He broke in through the back window and he was staying there.
Oh, you got to be kidding me!
And he must have heard us come in and just jumped under the clothes on the bed.
What a son of a gun!
Yeah. We didn't buy that house.
Well,
never went back.
After that, I think that would be so. That was probably the dangerous thing you ever.
That was, and I will say that there was also, and this was probably, I'm going to go back like maybe 6 years ago in Tinley Park. One of our brand new managers, again, I'm a manager. She was a younger manager. She was doing an open house in Tinley Park. This was on the news. Actually, I was interviewed with my other manager friend Jessica on like probably 4 different stations at the time.
Wow.
She was at an open house in Tinley Park, and an older man came to her open house. She was in the kitchen and he went upstairs and he was asking her questions to try to get her to go up there. And she chose not to go up there. She just was giving him answers. And then he came downstairs and he walked with a limp. He was definitely a slower, older man, she said. And then he walked into the garage, and it was one of those garages that you go down like 1 or 2 steps. So he was in there and he was asking her questions. So she went into the garage and she put herself in the doorway, which is the safe thing to do while he was in the garage. Yeah. And so she's in the garage with him, but she was closer to the door. And he was just asking her like random things about things fitting in the garage and I don't know what he was asking her. And she turned to get out of the garage because she was uncomfortable. When she turned to go up the stairs, she felt something stab her in like kind of the love handle, let's call it. Okay. She thought she got stabbed. So she's screaming. He tasered her.
Oh my God.
He tased her in the hip.
Oh man.
And she ran. She was trying to run to the front door.
Holy crap.
And it was the right place to get tased because it didn't knock her to the ground. Any like higher or lower probably would have been on the ground. Yeah. She ran to the front door to open the front door, and he had locked it when he came in.
Oh my God.
So she was fumbling, trying to get to the lock. And again, he was coming up behind her, but he was slower. He was older. Yeah. She got out of the house and was screaming. There was like neighbors cutting the grass and stuff that all came over.
Right.
And he got out to his car. She explained what happened. He got out to his car and the neighbors stopped him. Until the police got there. And he was arrested. Hey,
man, Tinley Park Police. Hey.
Tinley Park, yeah.
Hey, number 1.
It was right off of Oak Park Avenue. And
so how long ago was this?
I'm going to say 6 or 7 years ago. Wow. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was, and she had gone to court. He did prison time. I mean, or jail. I mean, he was arrested.
Good. Yeah, well, absolutely. That could have been anything. I mean, that was, oh my God, yeah. I'm speechless.
Yeah, open houses are, they have their.
Especially for ladies. Guys, I can understand because, we were like, yeah, okay, bring it on, man. But for ladies, and I've seen some real estate agents that are like 5'1", 5'2", the tiny, teeny.
Yeah. It can be a dangerous business. It truly can. We have an app on our phones. Every realtor has it. It's called Forewarn. It's only for realtors. So if you call me for real estate, I can look you up. I put in your phone number. I make sure that I always ask for driver's license if you text to me, so I know who I'm talking to. I want to make sure that that name and that all your information shows up.
Right.
I don't have to work with anyone if I don't want to. If I have a look at a crazy record, I don't have to work with you.
Yeah.
just like you don't have to work with me,
Absolutely.
So we do have some safety measures for that. And we also, do safety classes. We always train our agents of what to do and what not to do.
Do
of
agents
course.
carry sometimes?
Yep. We have concealed carries. So.
Oh.
We can and we
you
do.
heard that, guys. You heard that.
Yep.
Very nice. Okay. Very good. Yeah. Do you guys also do you guys take some self-defense
we have
classes?
Yeah, we have. I think the concealed carry is our biggest,
Right.
So
yeah.
It's a scary business. I mean, and again, I've been in business a long time, so I have the luxury of not really going out with strangers too much anymore. Usually it's friends of friends and, the referrals like we talked about. But newer agents or open houses, you're wide open there. So we usually do it as a team. We have a lender come with us or another agent.
Yeah, you got to have somebody else, one or two people in the house,
And you always know where the back door is, where the front door is, who's in the house, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I had a real estate friend one time. She asked me, Mark, if you're not doing anything next Friday, can you just stick around the house, just act like you're buying or something? I said, what for? She goes, oh, well, I have an open house. I think it was from 1 to 4 or something. And she goes, it's a big house, Mark, and I just need some. I said, all right. So I said, well, let me bring in one of my dear friends, also my best friend. So we were there with him and with her, and it was I didn't know that. Then she started telling me some things, and I'm like, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of amazing, besides you yourself, any haunted houses or supernatural things? I know that you must have experienced something.
So probably the strangest one, and I drive by it on my way to work almost every day. So every time I drive by it, which is almost every day, I think of it still. I look at the house every single time.
Oh, geez.
It was winter. And I was taking my very good friends, my investors, Robin and Randy. We were going to look at properties in Lockport.
Right.
And there was a house that it was an estate sale. No, I didn't know it was an estate sale at the time. Sorry. I did not know it was an estate sale. So it was just a house we're going to look at, a little ranch in Lockport on Reed Street. I know I remember exactly where it was.
Holy crap.
When I pulled up and it was winter, it was snow on the ground, it was really cold. I pulled up and they were coming just like a minute behind me. When I pulled up, I saw the owner was at the house. Obviously I saw her in the window. And when they pulled up and I said, you guys, the owner's home. So, we just have to watch what you say. Obviously we tell everyone that.
Right.
So we get to the house, I knock on the door. She doesn't answer. I'm like, okay, that's super weird. So I use the lockbox and I open the lockbox and I'm like, okay, well, obviously she's probably in her bedroom or something. So we're walking around throughout the house, family room, kitchen, down the hall to the bedrooms, and she's not anywhere. I'm like, what is going on? I saw her in the window.
So let's go back. Stop.
Yeah.
Rewind. You're pulling up to the house. You see the owner in the
window, the big picture window,
in the window, and you say, "Oh, the owner's there," and your friends are like a minute away.
And I tell my friends that the owner is there.
Yeah,
I know exactly what she looks like still to this day.
Jeez.
She's an older woman with white hair with a bun on her head, and I don't remember what she was wearing, but I remember that.
I'm getting goosebumps right now.
So we were in the house and we're like, okay, that's weird. I'm like, well, she's not in the garage, obviously. Right. So we go in the garage and she's nowhere to be seen. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And at this point, I'm already creeped out. I'm like, you guys, she was here. I'm telling you, I saw her. This woman
I'm not crazy. I saw her.
We go downstairs. And what is in the basement is a portrait of a woman with white hair with a bun on her head. That's the only thing that was in the basement was that portrait.
Son of a gun.
Swear to God. I swear to God that this happened. I
believe you. I believe you.
So I left. I got out of the house. I said, you guys can keep looking. I can't do this. I went outside and I would not go back into the house.
You got in the car and you said,
I would not go back in.
I'm out of here. So is that house still available on the market?
No, it was sold. It was sold. Someone lives there. I mean, like I said, I drive by it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time.
Yeah, we should go back to that house and talk to those people.
I'm not going back to that house. I'm not.
Oh my God! You know what? This has been so interesting and informative, and I really thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, and coming to the studio here and spending time with us and telling us all the behind the scenes that goes on before you buy a house. Because sometimes people think that it's very easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one person that in the circle, these real estate people, they don't know nothing. That cat, but it's crazy. I do want to ask you before we close, is it a good idea to get a realtor involved, or
Yes.
should you just sell it on your own?
No, who's going to protect you? Who?
Exactly. Because you see all these signs, for sale by owner.
Yeah. So for sale by owner is you're taking a lot of risk on your own, because you're letting someone from the public that you do not know into your house. Are they pre-approved? Are they qualified to buy their house? Are they casing it out to rob you? Are they going to murder you? Right.
Exactly.
So we have pre-approved qualified buyers.
You're right.
And then who's going to write the contract? And where are you going to get the disclosures from? And how do you know how to price your house? If you're not a real estate professional, there are no
safety checks. I mean, it's just somebody, you don't even know if the guy has credit or not.
Of course. It's you should definitely always deal with a realtor. If you're not dealing with me, make sure you deal with another realtor.
No, we're gonna be dealing with you. We're gonna ask you to plug your agency, but squatters.
Yeah.
What is did Illinois, I think, change the law now where the cops can go and get the squatters, or what happened?
I will tell you that one of my agents in the Homer Glen office, she had a house for sale. And she was doing an open house. It was in Orland Park. So here we are, right?
Okay.
It was in Orland Park. She was a house for sale, single family home. She went there to do her open house, and she saw when she was putting her sign in the ground that the drapes were open. The drapes were never open. She always had them closed. It's a vacant house.
Jeez.
She went to go open the house on her lockbox. Her lockbox was gone. She's knocking on the door. Her lockbox was gone. And she called the police.
Orland Park,
and they came, and a man was squatting in the house.
What did they do?
They kicked his butt out and took him to jail, and they found a box of cash.
Orland Park, ladies and gentlemen. Orland Park. We love you, Orland Park. Orland and Tinley, I think, excuse my French, but you don't want to F in Orland or Tinley. These guys are on top of the game.
That's how it should be. You break the law, you should. There shouldn't be any. You should have no rights.
There was a time, and not too long ago, where it was difficult for people to kick the squatters out. But I think now the cops can do it.
Yeah, it's still hard. It's still a hard row, to hoe. It's the eviction process and all that just takes forever. So if the cops could get them out, that's
Orland,
huge.
I know for a fact that Orland and Tinley, man, these guys don't play.
Good.
They don't play. They're there, and especially for an affluent cities like Orland and Tinley Park. They don't want that crap over there.
They don't.
Even though it was in the papers just a few weeks ago that I think they had a big squatting situation in Tinley Park, but it's dangerous, and especially for like you said, your real estate lady had an open house, and she was from your agency.
Yeah,
it's scary that you go and do that, and next thing you know, there's somebody in there.
Oh yeah.
And what if she had just walked in? What if she walked into the house? Oh my God.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note, Laura, first of all, I want to thank you for coming in, and I want to thank all our listeners, our viewers on the social media land. Laura, would you like to plug your business, please?
Well, I am with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. We are in Lockport and Homer Glen. Those are my two offices, but we also are everywhere. I mean, we're in the city, Hubbard Street. We are up north, we're south, we're everywhere. So you could give me a call. My email is sold by Laura, LAURA @gmail.com. And I will help you find the house. Or if you have a house to list, then I will definitely do that for you too. I could give you the proper pricing and marketing and hopefully get your house sold quick.
Well, you heard her, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you for watching Producer Mark's YouTube channel, coming to you live from Chicago. We want to welcome you to our morning talk show where our viewers can come and hang out or jump on the live stream and be part of the show. We cover a wide range of topics and no two shows are alike. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel, smash the like button and share our videos.